All right, everybody, good evening, pretty late evening. I was watching a movie again, got caught up, decided people are not really going to care about this video anyway. We're talking about punters, guys. Yeah, that may be the position that we are the least interested in as we head into this draft, not just because it's punter, but because the Seahawks are pretty happy with their punting situation with Michael Dixon. So just kind of doing this as just going through the business of covering the draft. I think you guys understand that even when I don't think the Seahawks are necessarily going to be compelled to address this, um, still worth talking about just to be a completionist. By the way, if you want to know what movies I watch, go follow me on Letterboxd. Link is in the description. All right, so this video is sponsored by Prize Picks. More on them later. We're going to start with Brett Thorson. Brett Thorson, he is easily the best punter in this class, and he needs to be because he's already 26, or will be 26 when the season starts. He is a super senior. Georgia Bulldog. He's very big. He's almost 240. I think he's an Aussie as well, by the way. So we got another Aussie punter, but he's got a lot of weight to him. He's very stout for a punter. He is linebacker size, which that helps in coverage. He's probably the best special teamer in this draft in terms of just the kickers and punters, in terms of like objective value. He's got a nice leg. He can kick it far, but he barely allows any return yards. So even though there are punters out there with bigger legs, Thorson ends up being the most effective one. Close to half of his punts end up inside the 20. So he is the real deal. He's got a big leg and he prevents meaningful returns. So he's got the hang time and he doesn't outkick his coverage a lot. He almost never allows a touchback. So many of his punts end up inside the 20. And he's got the size to be able to cover as well. One issue with him, he takes a little bit longer to wind up. Touch to kick is a little too long. He will get blocked sometimes because of that. Has to work on that. Also, because of the circumstances of the schedule that Georgia plays and where they play, it's easy for him to punt. You put him in a bad weather situation or even just an open air stadium, it may not be so easy to punt. And I wouldn't call his leg elite. He's not booting 80-yarders anytime soon. And he also has no experience doing kickoffs. So if you're looking for Thorson to be your kickoff guy, that may not work out. So the age is a little bit of a problem, but I think he is clearly the best punter in this draft. He might be worthy of a pick. You just have to be willing to live with the fact that he's not going to be able to do kickoffs. But as a pure punter, he is the man. So Brett Thorson, remember the name? He will probably end up a legitimate NFL caliber punter. Okay, moving on to our next guy here is Ryan Eckley of Michigan State. 22 years old is Ryan Eckley. He is a little bit smaller than a typical punter. Big board 340, so it's not out of the question he gets drafted, but again, it's all circumstantial. Had about 50 punts last year, averaged 48.5 yards per, but only 40.6 net. That tells you the problem. And the year before, it was a little bit better, but not really. So he's got a problem with his punts getting returned. Only 20 of his punts last year were inside the 20, which that's not terrible. But the year before, he had 6 punts down inside the 20. That's really bad. So he's got an issue with that. He's got the leg. He's got a big leg. He might have a bigger leg than Thorson. He is starting to improve as a coffin corner kicker. So he can kind of stick it in those corners, as he showed in 2025. He also gets the kickoff quickly, and he's got consistent, repeatable mechanics as a punter. Do you like sports? If you do, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. I've had a great time using Prize Picks so far. It makes this daily fantasy thing so easy and fun, and it even makes watching the games way more exciting. And with the cool social feeds feature, you can share lineups with your friends and even follow partners to tail or fade their picks. Obviously, we're in the NFL offseason right now, but we've got basketball, baseball, hockey, all kinds of other stuff, so don't be afraid to test things out in whatever sport clicks with you. You can even pick multiple sports in the same lineup and sweat everything at once. And don't forget about team picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So, download Prize Picks, America's #1 sports app. And don't forget, code HMA, that is HMA, gives you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. So the problem is obvious. He kicks low line drives and he allows a lot of returns. And he also outkicks his coverage. And when you outkick the coverage, you are playing with fire. So he has a clear problem. It seems addressable, but he hasn't really addressed it all that well yet. His punts allowed almost 8 yards per return on average. And that's per punt, not just per return. And he had a very low pin rate in 2024. Like 6 inside the 20 on 43 punts is kind of a mess. So he's got to figure that out. I don't think it'll work in the NFL if he doesn't resolve that. But the leg is big, so it's going to get somebody's attention in a positive way. There's just no way around that. Jack Stonehouse is another somewhat draftable punter, Syracuse. Couldn't find his age. Average size for a punter. Really long arms, I guess. Barely outside the top 400 on the aggregate. Had almost 60 punts last year, so he definitely put his leg through the paces. He does have a little bit of a problem with punts getting returned, but it's a little problem. Not like the big problem we were just looking at. And he's got a very low pin rate. So we can see that Thorson is head and shoulders above these guys, I think. Now, he's a good directional punter. He can direct the punts the way he wants them to go. He's got a decent leg. It's not a great leg, and that is a problem, but he has a decent leg. And he's gotten better with each year he's punted, it seems like. So he is improving. If he continues to improve, he could become a starting caliber punter. But he doesn't have a huge leg. He does have a little bit of a problem with returns. And he also gets very greedy. He's trying to pin the ball inside the 2-yard line a lot when he just needs to try to pin it inside the 10. And I feel like if he commits himself to just trying to pin the ball inside the 10, he'll be okay. He has a lot of goal line scrapers, is what I would call them. So I think he's close. I think he can cut it in the NFL. Just has to refine it a little bit. So you got to be a little patient, but it seems workable to me. Last punter for this year is going to be Tommy Doman, Florida. Another Florida kicker here. A little bit bigger than a typical punter, so that's nice. Big board puts him just inside the top 500. He's kicked the ball 99 times over the last 2 years, so a lot of reps. But you can see the yardage per punt is not what you really want to see. 37.3 in 2024 and not even 41 last year. So it's not great, and he has a relatively low pin rate. Again, we're kind of comparing everybody to Thorson here, which isn't totally fair, but Tommy Doman leaves something to be desired in his distance. Now, the thing about Tommy that's appealing is that he can kick field goals in an emergency, and he can do kickoffs. So you're getting somebody with flexibility. I'm not saying you would want him to kick field goals, but he can in theory. So that's a plus, and that's the main reason why we're talking about him, I think. He's also got good size. He's got, big safety size to handle duties and coverage. He gets his kicks up high. He is a hang time guy, and his touch to kick time is fast. He just doesn't have that big of a leg. Too many touchbacks, so the pin rate is not as good as it should be. And he's just doesn't have the touch on his kicks the way you would like for a non-big leg. Like, if you're not going to have a monster leg, can you at least get the ball a little bit further, a little bit more delicately down the field? So mostly this is just a consideration because he's flexible. He can do kickoffs and kick field goals. But I don't think he's good enough as a punter. Maybe he can get a little bit better, but the strength isn't there. And he just has too many touchbacks. So you got some stuff to work on here. All right, that's it for the punters. I know it's late, but I'm going to go ahead and get this up, and we're going to have a couple more things to do tomorrow here, but after that, we're done. We are good to go, and we're going to have everything we need to put it all together, get ready for the draft. I'm going to post my big board soon. I know I'm doing it kind of late this year, but I will do it, and we will be ready to go, man. So everybody buckle up, be excited. We got Monday tomorrow. Going to get through a few more evals, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, we are just into prep on other levels than player evals, and then we're there. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everyone have a good rest of your night.